Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul Show. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite things, and that is the Mass Effect franchise. Little known fact, the Mass Effect franchise has a lot of books. Drew Carpenson, the granddaddy of the Mass Effect writing team, he was a bit of a writer. He wrote a lot of Star Wars books. He wrote for like Baldur's Gate. He was all over the place, man. And he was not going to stop with Mass Effect. This was his little sci-fi baby, and even before the second game had come out, he was already pumping out books. And I'm a little bit jealous, in all honesty. Drew has such a creative mind on terms of like every single facet of his universe has to be, every nook and cranny has to be looked at, and the high majority of it is very interesting. It's so natural in certain ways too. It's not conventional storytelling, and that's a big part of what I like about Mass Effect. But let's get into it. This is a prequel to the first game, and for whatever reason, like a bunch of years ago, I read Mass Effect Retribution, which is like if these were like technically, I don't think these are all integral to each other, but like if they were, that would have been like 3 out of 4, I think. I think I was just happy to read anything Mass Effect related because I was such a nerd. But now that I'm playing the games again, I want to, you know, get back into reading. Why not find the happy medium that is this book? I got the second book. I got Mass Effect Ascension right here that I hopefully will pick up in. But I read this in like 2 weeks. For me, that is astounding. The type of reader I've been as of late, these past few years, that is astounding. And that goes to show it's a page turner. It's mostly about Captain Anderson. Captain Anderson and Saren have a very interesting relationship. You can tell there's a lot of shady stuff. There's a lot of back alley talks that they've had, and they're all in this book. And it all starts with this base. This base, and this is gonna be spoiler light. I gotta get you hooked. There's a secret base that the Alliance has where they're conducting artificial intelligence research. And it's so fucking funny because the Alliance starts this, and this kind of leads in to Saren. So it's almost the Alliance's fault that all this happened in the first game because they're conducting research on artificial intelligence. They think it'll give them the upper edge to combat artificial intelligence in the future. Fucking Mass Effect logic. Um, and Kaylee Sanders, who's a character who is seen in the third game, and we know that she has an interesting relationship with Captain Anderson. We just know it's complicated. And after reading the book, I can confirm it's complicated. Basically, she's at this base and her boss is fucking crazy and she gets the fuck out of there. But as she does, the base is attacked by Blue Sun's mercenaries, and Captain Anderson and his ship happens to be right there, so they investigate. They have big battle. Uh, Eventually, Saren has to investigate more about it. There is a supplier. There is also a hitman. It is a hell of a hitman. I'm going to talk about Scar real quick. Scar is a Krogan battle master, and he doesn't take no shit, man. He goes through more punishment in this book than I think any Krogan has. Like, spoilers for Mass Effect 3, but when Rex dies, he gets like a couple bullets and then he takes a tumble, you know? This Krogan is taking assault rifle rounds. He's getting shot left and right. Boom, leg fucked up. Boom, arm fucked up. And he's still in the heat of battle. And even Saren, like after he's like severely injured, he's like, I'm not gonna chase that guy. That's a Krogan. That's a biotic Krogan. Are you crazy? So, and that's a good example of how much Drew can do once he's like off the shackles of a video game. Because the battles in this, they don't hold punches. It's characters breaking bones. Like every single encounter, a character breaks something, pulls something, is bleeding from something, and and sometimes they die, and they describe in detail the blood shots and the trails of blood, and it's pretty graphic. It's something that, like, for the Mass Effect universe is kind of refreshing because, you know, it's video games. We gotta, like, the bodies disappear after like a couple minutes. Um, this has a lot of more the stuff that Mass Effect. I don't think it worked as a video game because in the first game it was very political, very militarized style speaking. And in this game, or in this book, I should say, they sell it so much better. You 100% fully understand that Captain Anderson is a military man. He is a military man before he is a husband, and that's more stuff you find out about Captain Anderson. But just like him waking up on a day-to-day basis, you get so much more insight to, like, oh, how the alliance works, how almost indoctrinated they are to be soldiers, and how they aren't really allowed to have lives beyond that. And, you know, they're still proud about that. And you really get this new perspective on the whole thing. And the big, like, secret is like, oh, what was the relationship between Saren and Anderson where Anderson almost became a Spectre? And the games framed it in a way that it felt like Captain Anderson messed up. And in actuality, it's more like Saren just kind of set him up. Anderson made one, like, selfish decision, like, for he was using his feelings too much. And Saren, man, Saren is probably the most interesting character in this book. That's probably why he's the poster boy over here. But god damn it, he is interesting because we never really got to see Saren, like Saren the Turian. I know he's in the comics and stuff like that. Maybe you read those. Those are good too, don't get me wrong, but, like, this was a new side of Saren, man, and it was really interesting because but when we meet Saren, he's indoctrinated, he's, kinda given a new set of beliefs from the Reapers. You know, that whole synthesis bullshit, you know, uniting with artificial intelligence, that's not his MO from the get-go, you know what I mean? We find out that he had a brother who died in the first Contact War, and that kinda started his hatred towards humans, and since then he just keeps fueling that fire every day. And we really learn what it is to be a Spectre. A Spectre makes big bad decisions, does not play games, uh, plays with lives like they're chess pieces, and Saren almost delights in all of that. He is so ruthless. He is the ultimate renegade. And seeing that firsthand and actually getting a little bit of insight into his mind, it's third person omniscient, which isn't like my favorite style of storytelling, but every single character kind of has a piece to this puzzle. But you, as the reader, have all the characters' minds. You see it all before you, and you see them run into each other. Instead of seeing character runs in the battlefield, you will see the battlefield from four different people's minds, whatever's the most interesting thing at the time. And again, Drew is unshackled. He is allowed to go into whatever section of this galaxy that he wants to. Majority of the time, we're just on like two or three planets, but, like, if it's gonna be interesting if we just go to the Earth ambassador on the Citadel, we're gonna go over there. And it actually is really interesting. That was some of my favorite stuff was, instead of Udina, we have a Goyle, I think was her name, as the Earth ambassador. And just her relationship with the Council is so interesting because in Mass Effect, you know, there's sly comments, there's, you know, little political conversations, but you really start to understand these characters' IQ points are so much smarter than mine or yours. Just little body language or little things like that that they pick up on means so much. Uh, every conversation is another chess match, and actually seeing it from a character's mind In the games, it's gonna hold your hand a little bit more, and they have a lot of branching dialogue paths, so it's not able to really do that quite as well. If the council are being assholes to you and they don't believe you and they're gonna do what's best for them, the game is gonna tell you that. The book, um, you see it firsthand. You see the character realize that, and it's a little bit more interesting. And combat is a hard thing to write. A lot of books I've read have awkward fight scenes. There are the books that are just like fight scene here. And then there are the books where left jab, right punch, left hook, like it's step by step. And I think Drew has found almost like the perfect balance of that. And it helps that in Mass Effect people have like biotic powers and shit like that that make for easy things to explain. But again, uh just the violence is a good indication. If a character gets socked by a Krogan's hand and their nose breaks, you feel that. And there's real effects. Characters are disoriented. They get knocked out. It's not like the game, and I enjoyed seeing the galaxy in a new form of light, and I enjoyed seeing new perspectives on Captain Anderson and Saren. I didn't think I would walk away from these characters looking at them differently, but I did. I'm never gonna look at Saren the same way. I'm never gonna look at Captain Anderson the same way. And this is gonna be light spoilers, but the mad scientist who's researching artificial intelligence basically has the keys to Sovereign, which Saren obtains, and seeing that process was one of my biggest payoffs to this book, and it lines up the timeline perfectly. It's almost baffling. It's very impressive as to how polished this franchise is. Only like 2 years in, and knowing the fact that like I'm currently playing Mass Effect 3. I just saw Kaylee Sanders, and she's at the academy named after Grissom, who is her father. And we get to see Grissom as this sh- uh decrepit war hero, and getting new perspectives on all of that. And the relationship between Anderson and Sanders is explained. I thought there was more to it, but like the way it happens makes sense for how the games play out. I didn't I For a second I thought they were like married and shit. And it's not that deep, but they do have a history that is explored in this book. And I enjoyed the book, man. I don't get to read a whole lot, and this was one of my things where I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. And I did not have a problem doing it. Mass Effect Revelation. Uh you could probably find it on YouTube. Like, I was just looking it up. You can watch the entire audiobook on YouTube because I guess that's a thing you can do nowadays. I felt weird. I read this on a fucking iPad. That's already surreal to me. The fact that you could just listen to the audiobook on YouTube. Yeah, crazy times we're living. Remember when books were paper? They were physical things you held, and then you had it on your shelf for all eternity after that. But anyway, I still am weird about giving books scores because it's such a more fluid system than that's just me. I'm going to give Mass Effect Revelation a 7 out of 10. It was a good book. If you are not planning to read Mass Effect, if you are not planning to play Mass Effect, I should say, don't read this book. This is for the people who play the game and also enjoy books. If you are trying to get into reading and are a fan of the games, this is a good book, man. Um, it's gonna be boring. There are parts that are gonna be boring. Drew goes into a lot of fucking expositions sometimes. If Captain Anderson's at a bar, he can't just go to the bar. He's got to there's an Asari here. Did you guys know that the Asari are from Sethia? that their culture and all the little you can't just look at it's just an Asari, we get it. Like, he has a love for exposition, and sometimes that's a detriment. But for the most part, I enjoyed the book. I would only recommend it to fans of the franchise, however. That being said, I'm gonna give Mass Effect Revelation a 7 out of 10. I think I said that already, but just I kind of went off trail a little bit there. So, thank you so much as always. I'm going to hopefully read the other books and get back to you on my thoughts on those. And until next time, with that, I leave you.